Alright, so welcome back. It's been an exciting week with the GNU Radio Conference and a lot of new things that are coming out. I wanted to take a look at showing, well, at least one thing that was talked about at the GNU Radio Conference and has been open sourced for a few weeks or a month or so now. And I also wanted to take a look at updating a couple other things in case anyone is wanting to update software before I get around to making a new DragonOS Focal ISO. So we'll go through a couple things or a few things here, but I want to first start with this RF and reverse engineering framework that's up on the GitHub page now. In particular, we're going to use the main branch, the Python 3 maintenance 3.8, because the DragonOS Focal is based on 20.04 Ubuntu actually, and has GNU Radio 3.8 in it. So the developers have been really supportive and included a particular install option for DragonOS based on feedback that I provided. And so if we look here, I'll draw your attention. If we just look at the code directly and we pull up a search for Dragon, you're going to see there's a DragonOS Focal section. What I've tried to do is make sure that anything that is already installed in Dragon OS and been tested, the dependencies and everything else, my hope is none of that gets altered during the installation, because outside of the core of the FISSURE framework, it also optionally will install a lot of third-party applications that are already in DragonOS, and in some cases the versions in DragonOS are newer or have been manually compiled and built so that everything works nicely together. So I'm trying to keep that intact, but I've kind of gone through here and tried to enable as much as possible additional third-party applications that aren't in DragonOS. So just take a look, you'll see what all is going to get installed kind of behind the scenes. Now if we want to get this up and running, we can copy and we'll clone it down, which I have already done. You just do, I'm just going to do it in my home directory. I do a git clone, hit enter on that. That's going to give you that FISSURE directory. And then if we look inside there, there is a lot of extra material that it provides and is linked to in the GUI that ultimately will run once the installation is finished. But if you do a /install, you're going to see it should detect DragonOS and give you that option to install that, which I have already started the installer behind the scenes here. You can see I've left all the software installed, but if there was something you were questioning or you didn't want installed, you can remove it from the list. So that installer is going to keep going while I continue to drive on here with some of the other topics. Right now it looks like it's building the SRS LTE portion of the code, so we'll just move that to the background. Let's see, close out of that. So while that's installing, and I'll probably break this up into a two-part video. This part showing getting the software up and going, and then I'll come back around and do a video on particular things that can be done with FISSURE, and also take a look at some of its LTE tools which are of interest. But the other piece of this is updating SDR++. If we go ahead and do a git clone, same thing we just did a second ago, we'll change back into our home directory, do a git clone of SDR++. I've already did that. We're going to need the source code, and then also if you ensure that you're signed in to GitHub and you click on actions, click on, just have a look, make sure it's a good build, code cleanup and fixes 4 hours ago. Click that, and if you're signed in, you should be able to see the Ubuntu Focal build. It'll download as a zip. If we unzip, let's change into our downloads directory, and if we unzip, and I've already I've already unzipped. You'll see that it puts a Debian package there, and so if we do sudo dpkg -i SDR++, that Debian package, it will overwrite the new install over top of the old install. I've already done that here. So now we've got SDR++ up to date. Now we want to take a look at adding the SDR++ Inmarsat-C demodulator, which I showed a video on a few days ago. What I did find, though, unfortunately, is the Qt GUI parser. Looks like, I have to look at it a little closer, looks like maybe it's written for Qt6. So I have to see if there's any way that that could be written for Qt5. I think that's the problem. So we will get the demodulator running, and then I will just remind where the command line parser tools are that will accomplish the same thing as the Qt GUI. Also, if I get a chance, the Skytail C developer has a Docker for yet another way to parse and visualize and look at those messages. That looks pretty impressive too. But let's get this demodulator installed. So we'll come back to our home directory, do a git clone, change into, we're going to have to do a couple things actually before we do this. And you can see the directions here. We need to install the core headers. We've already git cloned SDR++. We'll change into, let's see, nope. Change into our SDR++, core, and src. We do a sudo make directory just like it's showing there. And I'm not going to type this out. I'll copy and paste it. It'll do a reject. It'll basically go through and copy everything that it needs to copy to user include SDR++ core. The Inmarsat-C library is already taken care of in DragonOS. It's already included in the latest DragonOS, that is. So all we should have to do now is go back to our demodulator. We'll make directory build, change into build, cmake ... Everything should be fine as long as you have those the core piece set up. Do a make and however many cores you got. And then should just need a sudo make install. That should put that .so in the plugins directory. Now if we start up SDR++, we can see we've got the latest build. I have probably 4 or 5 SDRs plugged in, so it's looking through that. If we come down, go to our module manager, click the drop down, maybe. Let's see. Ah, okay. So it put it in. It put it in this directory. So let's take it out of this directory and we will put it in We'll put it in, let's see, where are we at? We'll do a sudo copy the SO file. We'll put it in lib SDR++ plugins. There we go. Now let's start it up. Okay, come down. Go to the eye. Now we got it. Inmarsat demodulator. INMARSATC. Give it a name. We'll add it. See, that gives you these new options here. And you also notice that when this is enabled, the radio, basically audio, is disabled. Matter of fact, you can even take that off the screen if you'd like. You see the difference there? So now you've got the one Inmarsat thing that's there, VFO, and it's already taken care of the demodulation, everything. All you gotta do is follow along the video. You'll do localhost 15004. Now I don't have anything hooked up to get Inmarsat-C right at this minute, but just so that something's coming in right now, and that's on SOAPy too. You generally want to try and use the dedicated, this is a Blade RF, drivers that the SDR++ developer has created here. And there's really not much hooked up there. But anyways, in the video you'll see I just wanted to show the signal constellation would be 2 dots. You'd get signal quality and sync, and then you can start that and it'll send that out across the network, or in this case just locally. And if we go, actually there might even be a shortcut to it under other, STDC DEC, you'll see there is the so the decoder and demod is already taken care of by SDR++, and that plugin, all we need to do is set up the parser, which would be --n-udp. Default's fine, 15004. If you wanted to send it out into JSON, you can do that. And then you could do print-all-packets. Nothing's going to show up right now because I don't have it properly set up, but that is showing you how to get everything updated and installed so that you can pretty much follow along, minus the Qt GUI version of this parser. Okay, that's that. Close this out. Last thing, or a couple more things actually, I'll just point out. So SDRAngel, I think unfortunately, as of the new release 10 days ago, has switched over to 22.04, which is fine, but has dropped support for the older Qt. So I don't know that it would be able to be updated even from source on the current DragonOS Focal starting as of this build. But if we go back, you can see the last, probably the last build, the 7.6.4. You can grab the tar.gz. We'll right click, extract that, and we'll take one other look here. So SDRAngel Linux compile, and if we take a look at the instructions here, which probably have changed due to the switch over to 20.04, but that's fine. I'm really only interested in the last line here, and if you want to do this, I'll copy everything minus the make. Actually, let's see. I'm going to copy all the way up to the cmake. Let's see. Let's see, let's do that again. We would want the source code for that. We would want the source code for that last compatible build. The zip file is fine. We'll unzip that. We'll change into that directory. We'll make a directory build. We'll change into build. Oh, no wonder. Okay, so I'm starting again here. We want cmake to the dot dot. We're gonna leave everything there except for, we'll remove UHD. We'll leave SOAPy SDR, and then we'll pick back up again and remove everything up to libIIO. Skip over that. And everything else, yeah, I think everything else we should be fine removing. And the reason for this is because some of the packages are already taken care of by DragonOS, and then some I installed in the OPT directory. So this should get everything linked together and working pretty well. I'll hit enter on that. And we'll make that. Come back to the FISSURE install, see how we're doing on that. It's wanting our password. You got to be aware sometimes it is asking for the password to complete that install. And because someone else asked about GridTracker, we can go to GridTracker. We'll look at downloads. There should be the Debian packages here. We'll download both packages. We'll open up another directory or another terminal, change into downloads. And let's see, we'll install the NWJS first. And then we'll do an install of GridTracker. GridTracker. And now you should have the latest GridTracker. Okay. All right, so hopefully that is helpful. I know there was a lot of keyboard action or whatever, but I think if you follow along, pause where you need to, you should be able to get uh, all of this updated or installed, whatever you choose to add or update. I'm going to let this run. I'll come back. We'll make sure everything finished. I'll close out the video. And then the next video, we'll take a look at using some of these tools in the RF reverse engineering framework here. All right, thanks. All right, so the SDR Angel has finished building. We'll do a sudo make install. And then so we should have I called it there we go, SDR Angel, built from source. Which is also under the ham radio. Sometimes I just like to install it from the terminal so I can see what's going on. It's taking a while because I have a lot of SDRs plugged in. You can see it's loading that FPGA image. Go ahead and unplug the B205 for right now. We can see we've got 7.6.4 SDR Angel. Got all our devices. And then if you're wondering where the channels are, it's to the right of the star. And there we go. Everything looks to be working. So we've got that updated. And then again, we'll come back. The second part of this will be the FISSURE actually using it. So yeah, should be pretty exciting to use some of the tools that the core tools that it has and what it can do. All right, thanks.